This is Adam, and Adam can introduce himself, but this is the second time that the mayor's office in the city has hosted folks from a program called ITD. But it's a program with the State Department, and so it's an exchange program. So in the spring, we had a few fellows from Jordan and one fellow from Israel. And it's a 4 to 5 week exchange where they come to the United States to learn about our civic process, our systems of government, our democracy, a little bit about our nonprofit sector, and then it's an exchange of ideas as well. And so while the fellows get a lot out of the experience, we as the hosts also get a lot out of the experience because we're learning about the forms of government back in Morocco in this case. And then we'll have an opportunity sometime next year if some of us that were hosting the fellows can go to Morocco and have a little bit more real life experience to know where our fellows came from, what they do for work, and things like that. So we're in our third week now, and I know over the last few weeks, Adam and Abdul, who's not here yet, have interacted a lot with our city departments, some of our nonprofit organizations. They've toured the city a few times, and this is your first time in the United States.
Yes.
And so I know over the weekend they were in New York City. They checked out the UN. Yesterday they were in Boston at the State House. And so I think it's been a really cool experience for Adam and Abdul. And I'll let Adam introduce himself. He's a city councilor in Morocco as well. So I don't know, Adam, if you want to.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. So my name is Adam Bouhadma, and I am from Morocco. I'm 28 years old. I'm city councilor. I'm the youngest city councilor in my city. I started my term 1 year ago, and I'm curious about almost everything related to the city, local government, city management, and stuff like this. I'm in the opposition, so I'm not in the executive, branch of the city hall. So I applied for this program. It's a big program for the state. Department of State. The USA invite many people from other countries to come in to visit and to learn more about different subjects in here. Our program subject is civic engagement, so that's why we've been placed in different organizations. We came, all of us, as a 16 Moroccan, but we are placed in different organizations here around Boston and Massachusetts. So I'm also city councilor is a volunteering position in my country, so I don't get paid for that. So I'm still entrepreneur. I'm a CEO of a small business named Education Media Company. We do online education. Basically, we manage an online educational platform for Moroccan students to help them to prepare the exams. We provide resources about the exam that we have exams that we have in Morocco, about scholarships, admissions, a lot of guidance about jobs and yeah, that's it. We have also a lot of resources about jobs and things that students can do after the studies. So that's.
Can you talk a little bit about the form of government in
the form? Yeah.
Yeah.
Morocco is a kingdom, so kingdom is very specific form of government because the king has now we have a constitution, new constitution in 2011. The king reduced a little bit his power, but he's still the executive power in the country. He controls a lot of things in the country. Of course, we don't choose our king. This is not an election position. But we have a parliament that we elect, and from the parliament we get a government. We have a chief of the government and other ministers who work with him in different fields. And then on regional and local levels, we have councils, regional council, city council, that we elect also to run the region or the cities. Morocco is not, if to be very accurate, Morocco is not a democracy, but it's not a dictatorship also. We are in between. We are in the gray side of democracy. We have many elected positions that we can vote for, but a lot of decisions are not taken by people who are elected. For example, just to give you in our country, the governor, the person who run a big region in a big area in the country, is not elected. He's appointed by the government or by the king, depending of the situation. So it's very complicated for a Democrat like me to work in politics, because we have two problems. The first one is to convince people that it's important to vote, because if they don't vote, we will have bad people who are elected. And in the same time, we have to convince our leader that they will give us more power as elected people. That's the challenge that we face actually now in Morocco.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Adam about Morocco or the form of government or his work as a city councilor?
I have one. So obviously you know what it's like in Morocco. That's your life. Seeing what the government and kind of how this country works in the U.S., is it like a little bit of a culture shock, or is it something that you feel like you can bring back to Morocco with you?
As a Moroccan, most of us, we are very open to the world. We know we have a both culture. We speak also French. We are connected to some European countries in Spain and France. So we are not. We know what is a democracy. It's not something that's new for us. But in the same time, I cannot come back in 3 weeks and say, oh, I want to update or upgrade our government. It will not be easy. It's gonna be a long process. A lot of things changed already in Morocco from when I was a kid. We had a new king in 1998, and the late king was more, let's say, in this time the freedom was very hard. We had no freedom of speech, a lot of difficulties, a lot of people in jail. Now it's reduces, but still we have a lot of challenges. Very recently we had some protests in the north area of Morocco, and the leaders of this movement are in jail now also. So it's always, we can have some steps in forward, and then sometimes
Couple steps backward.
some steps back again. And because there is a lot of issues that we face related also to developments. Education is a big issue in Morocco. We have a modern educational system, but the quality is not that good. The public educational system is not good at all. It's free, but how policies are made, they push people to go to private school most of the time. The university is free, but it's not that good also. The classic university, what we call the classic university, is not that good for. You cannot find a job after you graduate. So this is most just.
Yeah. Has anything surprised you about the United States in the last few weeks?
Maybe what surprised me, from overseas, maybe our vision is that USA is a country where the state doesn't help at all, doesn't help people, doesn't give any money to renovate houses like what we did last week. We had this idea that in your country, everybody should care about himself, and there is no social net. There is nothing that the state can do. And we had this debate between Morocco, between one of the participants of the program from Morocco also. I can be qualified as a socialist politically, but he's more liberal economically. And we had this debate the second day when we came here, and I remember he was shocked many times when we had some meetings with, for example, with PVBC, and it's a state-funded organization that can do plans or help cities to make some projects. This is I didn't think about before coming here. I thought that it doesn't exist here in USA. I thought maybe that's all. There is only private firm that can work in this kind of field. Maybe it's very specific to Massachusetts also. Maybe this is not what happens in all states here in the country, but still, this is.
Are you talking about like government programs that help people, help cities?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's pretty national in terms of the grants and support, and there's a strong relationship between cities and the federal government. And we also have an Office of Community Development, and that money comes directly from the federal government. Even our president, the Community Development Block Grant Funds, that's how we've renovated all of our parks.
Mm-hmm.
We provide shelter for folks, food, we fund food pantries. And those are funds that go to every city in the entire United States. So,
a lot of our politicians in my country, even in Europe sometimes, they use USA as an example of more economic liberalism. They say that we should reduce free education because in USA there is no free education. We should not have a good healthcare because in USA there is not good. This is used as an example to that the state should not get involved in field like education and health, maybe.
Yeah. Do any of you have thoughts about that?
I'm curious, is there a free press in Morocco? Does the media have? Can folks say whatever they want to on TV, or is it state controlled? Or
we had different. In maybe 10 years ago, we had this movement of a lot of free medias and newspaper magazines. Now it's very complicated. We have a lot of. In the past, we had a lot of journalists in jail. Sometimes not because of their what they publish or not. Sometimes they can be in jail because they are drunk. But it's it's a trick, of course. One very famous, one of the leader of a very big newspaper in Morocco is in jail now for sexual harassment. But
it's really because the reason. Yeah.
We can never know. We have this practice of not, because in the law now there is if you read the law there is freedom. You can write whatever you want, but still you cannot chat. You cannot speak about the king. You cannot speak about things like this. So you will not be, as a journalist, you will not be in jail for your job as a journalist, but you should not be drunk.
they might find another reason.
Yeah, they will find another reason to put. This kind of thing happens a lot. But we have, technically we have free press. Technically, in the law is free, but they all say the same thing.
So how do you think people in Morocco and all around the world can help to try and change that so there's not that corruption where even though it says it in the law, you could still be jailed for other reasons? How do you think that can be addressed?
you know, it's not one. It's not one isolated problem. It's a one common, one big challenge. It's all about democracy. It's all about if we want to build our to be on our own negotiated process of democracy, or it's gonna be very bad in a few years. That's the thing. If people get involved in election, if there is more young people in civil society also, it can help to build our own Moroccan democracy. Maybe that's what we suggest as a party in Morocco is we have a lot of model of kingdom, but with a democracy like UK or Scandinavian country or Belgium or Spain. We can keep the country as a kingdom, but we can have a stronger parliament, stronger government that can decide for what, you know, decide for, depending on what people can believe in. Education is very important part too, because when you have a lot of people that are not well educated, it's complicated to run elections and because people want just a quick win. They don't want to wait 6 years or 10 years to see a change in their life. They want. They will ask you to give them to find a job for them now and not in 10 years.
Adam, do you have any questions for the students?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, I believe that nobody of you voted before because you are under 18. And
Are any of you 18?
I'm voting next week.
You're gonna vote
next
Yeah, great.
next week? Or?
Yeah, that's when the ballots are open,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, the election day is on Tuesday, but we also have early voting. So anyone can actually vote before election day. So 8:30 to 4:30 at City Hall until Friday if you didn't have time on Tuesday.
They've got the day off.
We're giving them the day off, so they've got plenty of time.
On Tuesday? Oh, is
Yeah.
school closed?
Well, for students, it's a professional development day. Yeah.
But it's not the day off for us.
But no excuse, you'll have time to vote.
Yeah, maybe my question is about how do you see this you are in a country where the democracy is stronger than other countries. You have also your own challenges, of course, but how do you see this now? Will you vote maybe in the next years? Will you participate more in the election process? How do you see this?
I mean, me personally, I'm only 16, and in Massachusetts you can register to vote at 16. So the second I turned 16, I registered to vote. I can't actually vote until I'm 18, but I can still be registered so that when it comes time for me to be able to vote, I will, because I can. I can say that I live in a more progressive world than my parents did and their parents did, but I still think that we have a lot to go, and voting is definitely something that everybody should do. And so, like, that's why pushing for registration and pushing for voting is a lot. It's so important, especially in this school. Like, you may not have seen, but our guidance counselors, every day at lunch, every lunch, it was over the speakers, did you register to vote yet? If you didn't, you should come register. I think we still have a lot to go in terms of what we vote for and who we vote for, but voting, especially now more than ever, is starting to become this important thing that, like, everybody should be doing.
I'm going to excuse myself because I have a class that I have to go attend, but thank you so much for
Thank you.
being here. And you guys, Mike, you guys can stay, I think, for a couple minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And finish up, and we'll make sure you get your class.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Anyone else have thoughts about voting or why it's more important now? And thank you for your comments. I appreciate that you've already registered to vote. And why do you think young people don't vote at the same rates as older folks? So when you look at 18 to 29-year-olds, their participation rate is maybe 30, 40% compared to, 30 plus, even, 40, 50 plus, much higher rates. The more likely you are to vote.
You don't see people who excite them.
So do you think it's about the people running?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think a big part of it too is that generation that's just a little bit older than us. A big part of what plays into the fact that I think a lot of people around my age are really engaged in politics and civics is that we were born right on time for when social media really started to boom.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are a lot more aware of what's going on around them. And I think that really the millennials aren't voting because they maybe don't have that, and they're already kind of pushed on to that stage in their life where they've got more to be worried about. But yeah, I think social media is one of the biggest factors that's played into it. It has its negatives too, but that's definitely a positive. People are a lot more engaged.
Adding on to what Justin said, I think he was right about that it's who's running a lot because, like he said, social media is huge. We know problems. We see them every day. And it's that sense of like, oh, I'm just one person. My vote isn't going to matter. It isn't going to do anything. But when you have a lot of people saying that, it's something that could mean something, but that's not how they feel and that's not how they see it because they see that like we're doomed anyway, maybe.
Yeah. Do you think after the last couple of years that young people are more likely to participate in the future?
Absolutely.
And what do you think the most important issues facing, like when you think about who the president is, or you think about the Supreme Court, or you think about Congress, like the midterm elections next week, like what issues affect people your age or people in college? Like, when you think about why you would vote, what do you think about?
I'd vote so he doesn't have the chance to like continue changing all these things, that are, especially like for immigrants,
Yep.
for people like that. Because if this is a country where you're supposed to be free or like be able to come here, it's kind of scary seeing that he can do all that stuff. And this is his first term too.
So you see next week as an opportunity to stop him?
Well, not him. That's in like a couple more years. But I want to be able to like interact with my society.
But right now he has, the same party controls the House, the Senate, and the White House. So if at least one of either the House or the Senate next week goes to another party, at least there's some protections against some of his policies, right? So that's why next week is so important. You were gonna say something?
Yeah, part of my thing is like, if I could vote right now, I would, especially because at the beginning of Trump's presidency, he slashed the country's education budget. And for kids like us who want to learn about these things and who just want to learn about our world, education is so important. And I think being able to stop something like that is necessary.
Yeah. So will all of you be 18 by 2020, the election? And do you think you'll all participate and vote? Yeah, great.
Yeah, and on top of what these two said, obviously the national elections are extremely important, but I think we also need to make a bigger push for people really focusing on their local elections, because when it comes down to it, that's really what's going to affect you on an absolutely daily basis.
Yeah.
But we don't see the push for that in these.
Yeah, and I tell people that all the time. So it's interesting, obviously I'm the mayor, so I run local elections, and turnout in local elections is usually 30, 40%.
Yeah.
And then governor's elections, midterms, presidential elections is 60, 65%. So there's thousands of people in Holyoke that will sit out the mayoral election, sit out school committee members, city council members, but then choose to go vote for their governor or president. And they think that's the be all end all. But, I and your city council members make decisions every day that affect, the schools here, the policing, fire department, everything in the city. And it's important also to show up to school committee meetings, city council meetings, reach out to me if there's things locally that you feel like you can make a difference. And especially over the last 2 years, like bigger issues that you probably talk about in some of your classes, climate change, immigration, like mayors, in cities now have a much more important role to protect a lot of those policies, to push for, like the Paris Climate Accord, for example, that the Obama administration had put through, but Trump has announced he would exit from. Mayors, including myself, all over the country have announced that we'll still meet those goals. And so absent federal leadership from our president, it's really important that mayors, especially in big population centers, are pushing for those same policies. Immigration in particular, what they call sanctuary cities and things like that. So thank you for talking about local government. It's important. So yes, so thank you all for chatting with us, and appreciate your insight and time. And thank you, Adam, for being here, and
Thank you.
enjoy the rest of your day. So, thanks.
Thank you.